President Trump is set to hold a roundtable discussion with the Technology CEO Council any minute. The council is one of the tech industry's most prominent public policy advocacy organizations. It's made up of several chief executive officers at the nation's top information technology companies. Following the meeting, he's expected to sign new executive orders related to disaster relief and its accessibility to local governments, according to a White House official. Those executive actions will follow new retaliatory tariffs being levied against the U.S. by China. On Sunday, President Trump was asked if he's worried that the U.S. economy could be heading toward a recession as a result of the escalating trade war.
Of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this. We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now for more on this. Weijia, today the president's Economic Council director said the trade policy uncertainty will be resolved in early April. Remember, that's when the next set of tariffs are set to be put in place. So what is the administration's confidence level right now with these policies as we see these market dips?
Well, you just heard from President Trump, and these market dips are not new. We started seeing that as soon as the tariffs that are now on pause went into place for Canada and Mexico. And so President Trump really believes that this is the path forward for two main reasons. One, which you just heard, was that he thinks it's going to bring manufacturing roaring back to the United States because companies are not going to want to pay for those goods that have tariffs slapped on them coming in from other countries. Of course, it takes a lot of time to get new plants up and running, but he does believe at the end of the day, it will all be worth it. And the second reason is to level out the playing field, as Trump likes to say, because right now with several of our top trading partners, there is a surplus, meaning that the other country takes in more than the U.S. And so he wants that to even out. But in terms of the market, Lindsay, of course, this is a president who pays attention to Wall Street. I mean, think about what he was doing before he was president. He spent a lifetime, a career as a businessman in New York City. And his economic advisors acknowledge that, but they say it has to go beyond just the market, right? Because they say, you know, these policies are important when you're talking about the big picture and how it will impact all Americans, not just those who have money tied up in the stock market.
And prices could continue to climb, Weijia, as China implements new retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. Is the Trump administration open to negotiations with Beijing to avoid an all-out trade war?
Well, President Trump recently said himself that he speaks to Chinese President Xi Jinping, although he didn't say the last time they spoke or at what frequency. But we do know that all the leaders under the president and their counterparts in China continue to have negotiations. And I just checked in with a White House official before coming out to talk to you, who said those negotiations are ongoing. And the current tariffs that we're talking about with China that they just retaliated on today all have to do with fentanyl. With Canada and Mexico, it's fentanyl as well as illegal immigration, but obviously we don't share a border with China. And so the administration is really putting on the pressure for Beijing to do more to curb the flow of that drug into the U.S. And not just the drug itself, but China exports a lot of the raw materials that are used to make fentanyl. And so they are looking to see that China is taking real efforts to reduce that, which is something that the Biden administration tried to do as well.
CBS News has learned that President Trump may be considering lifting its freeze on intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Remember, this was done after that explosive Oval Office meeting. What more do we know about any potential timing on that decision? Would President Trump need to specifically see or get anything from Ukraine or Volodymyr Zelensky for that to happen?
Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio just touched down in Saudi Arabia because he has a huge meeting coming up with Ukrainian officials. And on his way there, he spoke to reporters to reiterate the fact that the U.S. is still sharing intelligence as it relates to defense intelligence. Just looking over the notes here that I took, hearing from Rubio, and he wanted to make clear that that, you know, is ongoing. And so there was, I believe, some misinformation that all the intelligence had been frozen. But in terms of what they want to see from Ukraine as they continue trying to negotiate this peace deal. You know, Rubio and the president really have said they need to know exactly where Ukraine stands and what they are willing to do to show that they want peace. Now, they haven't clarified exactly what that means, but we know Zelensky is trying to claw his way back into the good graces with this administration after that spat that you mentioned, making public remarks as well as private ones to show that they are serious about coming back to the table, Lindsay.
Weijia Jiang, thank you so much for your reporting.